Good afternoon everyone and welcome back to the Life of a Dev. In this episode we're going to be starting a mod, which, as you can tell, has been going for a little while, but I'm just going to walk through what I've done so then it goes a little bit quicker than me just programming everything. And so, what we're going to start off with today is just a basic block. And so what we're going to do is pretty much create a blue glowstone, which my texture for it is right here. It's just glowstone that's blue. And so that means that we're going to take a look at our main first. And so with a mod, I got rid of all the example mod stuff, as you can tell. With a mod in your main class, you add the @mod annotation, which has the mod ID, the name, and the version. And that pretty much tells Forge stuff about your mod that you want it to know. And so what we're going to need to know today from the actual main is this right here. And so we're going to go over what the client-side proxy is and the server-side proxy, and the common proxy, of course. So that's going to be important, which we'll talk about. And then right in the pre-init event, the init event, and the post-init event. And the rest are commands. And so we're going to take a look at the common proxy. As you can tell, it's a pretty basic class. And so what this is meant for is this is where you're going to initialize your blocks, items, recipes, items, I said items twice, armor, anything like that that you have. And the reason that it's here is because beneath it is a client proxy, which extends the common proxy, which this will load all the items and textures and everything on the client side, if you have a client-side mod, but you're adding blocks, so of course it's client-side. And then the server proxy will initialize everything on the server side. So it's really important that you have these. And so as you can see in here, I have mod items, mod blocks, and crafting recipes that I am initializing. And so that's really important because this is what's actually going to load your blocks, items, everything into being actually used. So you want to make sure that's done in the pre-init event. And so now we're going to hop right in to the actual depth of it, which is our mod blocks. So what we have here is just our initialization event. And so we're going to go over the blue glowstone today. And then later we'll talk about a multi-texture block and a meta block that you edit the metadata on. And so, blue glowstone. So all you do is you get the game registry, and then you just register block. And then this first part is the block that you're registering, and then the second part is the actual name that you're putting it under. And so, you see, we create a new basic block. So what exactly is a basic block? Well, for us, it's just a basic constructor. It takes in the unlocalized name and the material that you want to use. And so it extends block, so it does a super, which creates a block itself, and then the this object is the block that's being created there. And so what you want to do is set the name and set the texture name. And this will point to your source/main/resources. And then what you want to do is an assets.safarizone.textures.blocks, and then the Safari zone will be replaced with your mod ID that is defined right here. And what's really important is this messed me up for a long time, is no matter what your mod ID says, you want this to be all lowercase. And then you put it right inside. And you want to make sure that your texture name is the exact same as the name that you're using, that you're assigning to it in the game registry. That's very important. And then you set the creative tab. So there's multiple ones of those, we just put it under the block tab. Set the hardness, the resistance, and then this.set light level, since we're doing glowstone, we want it to actually emit light. And so that means that we're going to set the light level to 1, and then the F is just a float. Set the harvest level as a pickaxe, and it's going to be the 3rd level of pickaxe, so an iron pickaxe. And then you can set the step sound of what it sounds like when it's stepped on, and we just put in sound type metal for some fun. And so this is just a basic constructor. You can put in whatever name you want, item, you can change all these, mess around with all these to see what happens, and really just have a good time and change it to fit your best need. And then once it's created, it's going to be initted by the common proxy, which will go on the client side and the server side. So we're going to go back to the main. This little line right here. So what you want to do is you want to create a new common proxy, call it whatever you want, just proxy will be fine. Then you want to do @sided proxy. So that just assigns a name to it. So you get the client side, which will be the path to your client proxy.java, and then the server side, which will lead to your server proxy.java. And then when you call the proxy.preinit, and then you pass it the event, it's just going to init everything in here, and that's going to do it on the client side and on the server side. And that's how you add just a basic block. Obviously, they get a little bit more intense with 3D blocks. What I mean by 3D blocks is something that isn't a full block and has a different shape rather than just a square or cube, or texture that isn't just a square. Multi-textured blocks, so a texture on each side, and then a metadata block where you can set all the special stuff about it. And since we're going to have a little bit of time left, we're also going to go over mod configuration. And so, as you can see right here, it's pretty basic. So you do the public static configuration config, and then configuration is just a part of Minecraft Forge. And then when you start your preinit event, you can do a config equals new configuration event.getSuggested configuration file. And what this will do is it'll pretty much give you a default file. And if you already have a config file, it's just going to load that for you. And you can do a config.load, and then what you're going to do is, I have all these defined as variables up here, because to do this, when it assigns the initial value, it actually returns a value, so you need that to point to a variable. And then you get your config, and you're going to get, and I did the general category, there are a couple of them, you can choose what you want, and I put my spawn.world, and then it's blank, because I don't know what the world name is going to be. And I did the same thing for spawn X, spawn Y, and spawn Z, which all give me zeros. And then you just do the toString or get double, whatever you really want to do. And then you just do config.save, and then that'll save your default config. If it's the second time running and your config's already made, it will not overwrite it. But if you delete your config, it'll regenerate it using these values. And that's all I have for you today. So, hope that we learned something. And if you have any questions, leave them down below. Have a good night.